anything? First and foremost, let's take a look at your packet. If you will open your packets, let's just briefly look at the contents. I'm sure some of you already went through, but it starts with what the packet contains. Oh, on the outside of it, it also has a little letter from the state party chair and a place for the individual counties to write down their county, the precinct number the packet belongs to, and then how many state and county delegates are going to be allocated to that precinct. And these envelopes will come back to the party leadership and then back on up to the state party, according to our instructions. And inside you'll see a sheet that says building a stronger precinct. We're encouraging you to read these things, go out and do some proactive advertisement, and then there's a to-do list to help you keep track, things you should do way in advance. We have this sign. We're going to talk a little bit more about it, but we have signs that we want put out to post in the precincts to advertise. We're doing media advertising, everything on state party level. We have a big goal to get out a lot of participants. Follow that and you'll be in good shape. The next very important thing is called the instruction guide. And this takes you from the beginning of the meeting to the end with every word you would need to say if you have no other experience. If somebody just shows up that night and we don't have a host for some reason, you can just hand them the packet and they can still run the meeting successfully. And it answers a lot of questions and keeps you on track. Then we have, new this year, caucus rules. These were developed by the State Central Committee, and these are to make all precincts caucuses uniform, okay? No more, well, I think it goes along this rule or that rule, which will supersede Roberts, because everything you really truly need in Roberts is in here. The basic things about decorum in a meeting and such, those all just stay. They don't go anywhere. Then we have the attendance roll, which looks terribly familiar to all of you, I'm sure. It is self-carboning, and so you need to press hard and have them write legibly. And I'm going to go over these things in detail in the presentation, how we're going to handle it. Also, it's good to note that we have put in here multiple copies of the duties of a state delegate, because we know what they are, they're state delegates. And then if the counties wish to insert their county delegate duty sheet, that is, they're more than welcome to do that. We also have a pretty generic duties of precinct officers, one for each one. Make sure that those who get elected, first of all, know what they're going to, their duties will be before they're elected, and then make sure they go home with a copy of those. We have provided a donation envelope, and they can put their name and their contact information in check, especially if they have a pledge. Some people felt that that would be just a little too public, so I believe we're also going to include a pledge slip that looks probably similar to a check. And they can just fill out that pledge slip, which we'll make available to you, put it in the envelope. The state party will follow up on the collection of all the pledges. We want to remind everybody about Check-a-Buck, because as of this moment, it's still in place, and if it continues to be in place, we will still encourage it to be utilized. And we'll go over that a little bit more. Then we have, of course, the traditional caucus signs that can be reproduced and hung on in supermarkets and telephone poles and the like. And then we've also have several forms of potential credential, tally sheet, and ballots. These are all sample forms, and we're going to talk about how you can access those. So that, on top of that, we also have included instructions for the caucus tracker, which we're also going to talk a little bit more in detail about here. Okay, you'll also find a voter guide, which tells everybody when the primaries are and when deadlines are. A lot of people really appreciate having that kind of information. So, this is put on by the state party because caucuses are the state party's business. This is how we organize the Republican Party in the state of Utah. The counties all help us facilitate these meetings and work with us, and it's a tandem thing. So they make, at the same time, they generally elect their county delegates, but it's primarily set up to organize the Republican Party in the state of Utah for the state party. The purpose of a caucus is to select party leadership at the precinct level to represent your neighborhood in subsequent party meetings and elections. That's really the basic reason it's there. because it has a very specific purpose, it has a very specific agenda, which cannot be deviated from. We're going to kind of go over that in just a second too. We have on the state party level called the 29 County Plan. It has these three aspects, and we want to increase our caucus attendance from in the 60,000s to 100,000 this year. We also want to get a new vote by mail Republicans. We want that up to over 100,000, and we want to register 100,000 new Republicans. And it's a great plan. And if we can follow this plan, every precinct has been given a goal, and if every precinct achieves that goal, we will exceed this goal here. And this goal only makes our state that much stronger. All right, the more people we have participating, the better off we always are. We are providing tools. We've gone over a lot of them. We've got the packets. We've got voter registration forms. We have vote by mail forms. They're pre-populated for you. We have these really neat door hangers that are being made available to every precinct. This part in the white can be customized to each precinct, saying where. And in each county, we're recommending that they print on here that registration will begin at 6, 6:15, 6:30, whatever works in their counties, to make sure people come in and get registered early so the meeting starts at 7. That's critical that we all start at 7. We also are providing, like I said, these lawn signs, and you can fill in this bottom part here with the precinct location. Get a big old Sharpie. Right on there, we're giving you the metal stakes. You stick them in a prominent place. We'll give you up to, I believe, 4 per precinct, okay? And so if you can utilize those, we're asking you to get with your county party leadership, because I believe those have been or will be by tomorrow distributed throughout the state to each of the party leaderships. So we will also provide a vote by mail binder. We're going to talk a little bit more about that a little later on too. So we've given you forms and templates and all the tools we could think of, and we've added a few in that some others have thought about, and it's all going to be found in the caucus tracker system. So here's the big thing. We are no cost to the precincts providing these, state party expense. So just check in with your county party leadership to find out how to get yours ordered. They need to be ordered this week, so we need that information. If you just can't figure out where, you can leave that part blank and then print them yourselves, or make them as, put in as much information as you can. All right, talked about the lawn signs. Make sure you get those out. The lawn signs, we're asking you to put out like about the week before, so they just don't go missing. And that's when the critical advertisement for that would be. We also have, in part of our tool packet, nothing we can pass out, but on the party website at www.utgop.org, we have a couple of videos, and one of them is Understanding the Caucus Process, which will take you through abbreviated meeting of what happens in a caucus, how people participate, and there's some detailed description. This is a really wonderful video. It's about 3.5 minutes, and it's well worth your time to go and show your caucus attendees, or if you've got precinct chairs who need a little more help. It's a really great video. We also have another video that was produced that shows what a caucus is. It's generic, it's bipartisan, and it is really great because it tells everybody what the process is and why it exists. All right, a caucus host does not need to be the precinct chair, especially in redistricting. This is the biggest question we have. Sometimes 2 precinct chairs will end up in a precinct, and each county will determine who the host is going to be, okay? That's up to the counties to decide. In some, 2 will end up in one precinct, and there'll be nobody in another, and they'll have to reach out and find a willing volunteer to run that precinct. Also, on that night, as we all know, there will be no-shows from time to time. Things happen to people, and we'll need to grab somebody from the participant in a precinct and make them the host. They will conduct for the entire meeting. Once you elect officers, they do not take place. They take place after the conclusion of the meeting. And these people especially, this is the reason, because they are responsible for the election results and getting all that information and all the donations we collected back to the party leadership. And the other people we haven't contacted with, we don't know what's going on, and if we give it to them, chances are something will fall to the ground. So we want to make sure that everybody knows that is the job and the duration. In some counties, the precinct chairs don't take place for like several days or a week or something later. So we need to stay connected all the way through the process. However, one thing you do want to do as a caucus host is on these duty sheets, the greens and the blues that say what are the duties of a delegate and what are the duties of precinct officers, we want you to make sure those go to those newly elected people so they can remember what their duties are. Also, the state convention is on April 21st at the Southtown, and it has that information on that sheet as well. So, all right, we want to make sure we prepare ahead of time. We want to get out our to-do list today, and we want to start looking at what are the things that we need to do in order to be ready. You need to find out where your county has selected your caucus to be held. A lot of them are going to be held in schools or public buildings and possibly organized on a legislative district. This hopefully will help facilitate the handicap accessible requirements and the ease of a large group. A lot of classrooms have the facilities that we need to help run these precincts, but find out where yours is, find out what room they gave you, find out if you feel it's big enough. You will also be given information as to how many people were in your caucus the last time and how many more we're hoping you'll go out and bring in this time. And so we want to make sure we have adequate space for these things. There are some caucuses will need only a few chairs, and there will be some that will have hundreds of people attending. And so we need to make sure that that gets evened out in the county. Just because they assign your room doesn't mean it's written in stone necessarily. So go check it out. Find out if they'll have tables available. Find out if you will have a chalkboard or a whiteboard or some device to write names on, or if you will need to bring like a flip chart or an easel or some kind of device to keep track of the nominations. Make sure you've got a pen supply. You know, take a look through the packet. Determine how many ballots you're going to need and make those preparations. Prepare ahead of time. That's the key. Find volunteers. When you're out walking around and you're dropping these door hangers, get people to help you. You're going to need a lot of help that night. You're going to need to try and find somebody who's got a computer with a wireless connection that can go anywhere and doesn't need to tap into the site that they're at. This would help tremendously in inputting the data into the caucus tracker system, which we'll talk about. You need help registering people. You need help getting people to vote by mail. You need help just keeping your meeting organized and flowing through. We have provided you again with form ballots, tally sheets, credentials that you can use. We're recommending that when you sign people in, that you have downloaded your Republican voter list from the caucus tracker, and that you greet the people and maybe have several people greeting people as they come through the line and say, oh, hey, yeah, Christy, I know you, and you're here on my list, and you're a Republican. Good job. Here is your voting card, this credential here. Have a seat, and we'll get everybody in and going, and we'll pass around a roll that you sign in on, okay? We have, as we talked about, there's this instruction guide written from the beginning to the end of the meeting. It should contain just about everything you need. It's got language on how to open nominations, how to run them, how to close them. No one can make a motion to close nominations. Okay, when you as the host have figured out that, hey, are there any further nominations? And nobody goes forward. Are there any further nominations? Then, without objection, nominations will close, and now we'll go to the vote. Okay, that's how we're going to do it. Nobody gets to like jump up and like, oh, well, got my 5 in. Let's close them. You'll say, I'm sorry, that's not appropriate under our rules, and we will wait until everyone has had an opportunity to make a nomination. And as soon as I find that there's no others, we'll move on, and we'll do this expediently, and we'll get you out of here as soon as possible, which always is music to your ears for some reason. We have also provided in here, there's a rule that you must read a platform, whether it's the state party platform or the county party, and the state party is included in the instruction guide, so it's right there at your fingertips. If you wish to read the county one, feel free to do so. Somebody wanted to read the shorter one. So far, the state party platform has won. Okay, so whichever one you want, that's fine. I get this question a lot. Why do we have to read the whole thing? Can I just pick pieces? I said no, because of this reason. people come to these, and some of them have never attended a caucus precinct before, ever. And a lot of people actually don't even know what a party stands for. This tells them what our heart and soul of the party is, okay? When they're done getting this information, they will know definitively that they're Republican. I've had many a Democrat say, well, I don't want to affiliate, but I want to watch. This is kind of an interesting process, and I can't find mine, so I'm going to be here. And we said, that's just fine. And then after we got done reading this, he said, okay, can I sign up? Because I just found out I was a Republican. So it's really important. It's a critical component, and it's what we believe in. Why would we not want to read it? All right, we have the attendance roll. We've got multiple copies of them inside each packet, and we are recommending that instead of having everybody take the time to fill these out as you walk in the door, have them briefly go through your list. If they're Republican, check them off, give them a credential. If they're not, then say, okay, if you need to affiliate and would like to tonight, we have voter registration forms, and they're right here. Take one of these, fill it out. When you give it back to me, I'll give you your voting card. Everything comes back to the precinct host. Everything will be turned in by the host. The person doesn't take it and say, oh, I'll take care of that for you. Say, oh no, not on this one. Tonight I will handle that for you. Okay, make it really easy for you, and besides, you need to keep that because that's the thing that says they're okay to participate. These need to be filled out, and there's 3 copies. The pink copies for the precinct, the yellow copies for the county party leadership, and the white party is for the state party. These are our backups. When there are questions, we inevitably go to these sheets and we discover what will be the ultimate outcome of a challenge or a question. It's my hope someday we never have one of these again and we can just do it all online. And we're getting there, and this will be a big one to see how far we get on it, but so far we still need it. You will each precinct will receive a vote by mail binder, and it will have pre-populated forms for every registered Republican in that precinct. All they have to do is sign, leave it in the book. They're all in there alphabetical, okay? If they just sign it, we'll take those, we'll turn them in. One county is really excited because they have been mandated now to go to entire vote by mail in their county, and this will make their job so easy. Voter registration forms are also found in the back of that binder because it makes sense to us and because it's easy to get them to you that way. They are blank. They are not pre-populated because we actually do not have crystal balls and cannot see who might not be registered, who would like to be. But they fill these out. Once they do, they can participate fully in the meeting. We have included a donation envelope which has a place for their name, phone, and email and amount, especially, this is mostly for the pledge. If they're just donating, if they write a check, we have the information. If they give us cash, you know, Scotty said like $250 in cash from one person to have to be recorded, and we haven't quite seen that yet, but someday I hope to see a $500 bill in there or something. However, the pledges are critical. People forget that there is an opportunity to donate, and so they'll come and go, oh, I left my checkbook at home or my credit card. That's just fine. We have these pledge slips also that they can fill out and insert into the envelope, and then the state party will go and collect on those pledges and help them fulfill their goals and ours. We also have, under current law, a checkbook system, and we want to encourage each of our attendees to, if they're preparing their tax forms, check that box for them and their spouse. We get $2 for each person who checks the box. And if they have theirs prepared by a professional preparer, to instruct their preparer to check that box for them. And I've heard from preparers that they feel uncomfortable, which I can't imagine why, because, you know, they have this, your whole personal life in finances there, but they feel uncomfortable asking people about their political affiliation. So, you know, take the step, the initiative, and do it. This money comes out of the general fund of Utah. It's been set aside and earmarked to do that. Okay, it does not come out of your own funds, but it's there, it's available, and some of our counties survive on this money alone. All right, caucus rules. These were developed by the State Central Committee. That means all the county party leadership and representatives who were elected. That's about roughly 180 members. We will not be following Robert's rules per se. These rules will supersede Robert's rules because they've incorporated the pertinent parts of Robert's rules into them. Decorum is always, you know, common sense. You can't supersede common sense. Okay, so someone said, well, that means that we'll have total chaos. We will not, because we are Republicans and we believe in courtesy and we believe in rules. And so therefore I do not believe we'll have anarchy just by saying there's no Robert's rules. In fact, there's been cheers in many places I've gone to because nobody really knows what Robert's rules are, and very few of us actually do at all. So we've taken the pertinent part. Nobody can use this as a weapon. Everybody's on the same plane. Everybody knows what the rules are. And we've given you multiple copies to then pass out to the attendees so they can read them for themselves as well. All right. Read through those rules, though. You need to know exactly what they are because you'll need to follow them in conducting the meeting. We've done this to make everything consistent. Who can speak and who can vote? We're going to talk about that next. Who can participate? Anybody who resides in that precinct. Proof of residency may be required. It's okay to say, I'm sorry, I just have never met you. What house do you live in? Do you have a voter card or a driver's license or somebody who can say, yep, you really live there? Especially if you've got 5 people who all say they live in the same house and you're thinking, how does that work? You know, we're not suspect of people, but we do want to make sure that the people who come to our precincts do live in them. And with redistricting, we may have people in the wrong precinct, and it's important to find out. We've encouraged you to download the maps that are available for your precinct. We want you to make sure you've downloaded the legislative district map, so in case they're in the wrong place, they can look and find their house and go, oh, that's my precinct, and then run down the hall to the right of the room, okay? If you can all hold your questions till the end, I will get to them, I promise. You can be a participant if you will turn 18 by November 6th or on November 6th, okay? Then you can participate fully. You can run as a delegate or a precinct officer, and you can vote and speak and nominate. All you have to do is turn 18 by November 6th. Turn 18 on November 7th. I'm so sorry that you missed this one. But next time. Okay, you must be a registered Republican. We have a list of the registered Republicans in each precinct, so those will be easy. There will be people who come and they won't be on your list because they are unaffiliated or maybe you're in another party or whatever reason, brand new. They may all fill out a voter registration form, say they are Republican, and they are now participants and they will get their voting cards. The only people, and anybody can attend. If they don't want to affiliate, that's okay too. They just don't get recognized. That's why it's important to have those cards. If people want to speak, it's like having the conch shell. I've got a conch shell, I can speak. Okay, if you don't have the conch shell, you don't get to speak. So who can't participate? It's a short list. If they are an officer of another party. The Tea Party is not a recognized party. It just has party at the end of their name. It's like the Republican Women Party. You know, it's kind of like if you did something like that. They are not a party, but if it's one of those that goes on the ballot from the Lieutenant Governor's office, then that's an affiliated party, and they cannot be an officer in one of those and participate in our caucus. They cannot be a candidate for another. We have purposely set our caucuses for March 15th after the filing deadline statewide for any office. If they have filed, and you can get these from the clerk of the Lieutenant Governor's office, download those, and so if you know Jim Bacchus shows up at your place, you can say, I'm sorry, you're an officer of another party. Watch all you want, keep your mouth shut, and be a good boy, and we'll all be good. But he can't participate. He can't see the light that day. It just won't work. If something's not quite right about this line here. Oh, if they won't register as a Republican. I get it. Sometimes I won't. What was I writing there? If they don't want to affiliate, that's still okay. They just cannot participate on any level of our caucus. So again, those who can affiliate that night can be 18 on the election day, live in the precinct boundaries, and the host will collect all the forms. They do not get to take them home. That's just not how this part of it works. Okay, we have an agenda, and it is set in the rules. Okay, right in the rules is the agenda. The state party set that with the State Central Committee's vote. The agenda will not be adopted. It's not an optional thing. It will not be changed in any way. There is on this agenda a really cool line right here, third from the bottom, saying other business as directed by either of the state or county parties. You can make announcements here. You can do Lincoln Day dinner announcements. You can do some sort of business not resolution related. We're asking if anybody really feels hot about that, that they actually wait till this caucus adjourns and then meet informally as the group with the new precinct officers and have their own little discussion that those officers can then take back to their party leadership. Okay? We have rules for nomination. Seconds are not necessary. The precinct host will close the nominations after asking, are there any further nominations? With no one coming forward, you can then say, without objection, we will close nominations. We're recommending that you take nominations for each office one at a time so that there's no confusion. Plus, it gives people the opportunity to then run for some of the other offices if they don't make it into one. We have election rules. There is no absentee voting. You cannot send a ballot in. Okay? You can't have your neighbor go vote for you. There's no proxy voting. Acclamation is allowed. If in your precinct only one person wants to be an officer, then you can say, well, without objection then, David will be that particular officer. Great, let's look at the next office then. And so acclamation's okay. All elections must be won by a majority vote, which is anything more than half of the ballots cast. So it's a simple math thing. You just say, what's the number of ballots? You divide it by half, and then you have to boost it to the first whole number, okay? But it's not 50% plus one, that's actually a higher threshold, and that gets confusing. Just anything more than half, it's not that hard. But it is required for every election that's held, unless they're by acclamation. There will be no plurality voting. Let's talk about that. There's no take the top highest vote getters, or let's just take the three off the top, or let's just rank them, preferentially. We don't do anything like that. We're going to go with the basic system of balloting until somebody wins. And this is very important. Inside each precinct, you are allowed to vote as to how an elimination process may occur. Let's say you have 300 people in attendance at your caucus, and that you have 10 or 15 people running for a position. That would be a potential multiple round situation, okay, which could take a lot of time because you're also counting 300 ballots. However, if you can decide ahead of time, you already know you've got a lot of people, and you now know you've got so many nominees, and you can say, well, the chair recommends that we adopt a method here for elimination, whether we drop anybody who doesn't get at least 10% of the vote, or we just take the top 2, or we take the top mathematical majority. However you can express that to your people, that's okay to do, as long as a majority of them all want to go for it. Okay? So, those are all okay. You can shorten the process that way. These are all acceptable methods throughout time and eternity. We also have ballots and tally sheets. Like I've said before, you can make your own if you wish. These are forms that will make it easier for you. Just make sure you have enough. Think about how many attendees you'll have. Think about how many potential rounds you might have if it's going to be a large number. Make sure you have plenty of ballots. A ballot tally sheet is for your convenience. A couple of counties are like, oh, that's so cool, because we need to keep those, because if the precinct county delegate goes away, we have to go back to those sometimes to find out, well, who is the next one in charge, because on our attendance rolls it doesn't say number 1, number 2, and number 3. It just says these guys were the ones, okay? Now, you're going to always run into somebody who wants to rush the process. Can we just hurry this up? I have a show, or I need to, I don't know, go to bed or eat. This is participatory government, and no one's going to force anybody to stay, but you have to realize there is going to be a commitment we're asking of every attendee. And we're telling them it's going to be about a 2-hour process, okay? Some might go a little bit longer, but it's well worth it. We're only asking you to devote these 2 hours once every 2 years, and we're wanting you to devote that time because you want to participate, okay? But just because one person wants to go home and watch a show doesn't mean all the rest in the room have to hurry up and give up all of their commitments to do the same thing. So we've asked you to handle it, cordially, but okay, you always have the option to leave at any point in time. We will not keep you here under locked guard or anything, but let's not interfere with everybody else's right to participate fully, all right? We all would like to have short meetings. This is just one of those that's going to take a little bit of time, but if you have prepared well, it will run efficiently, and you should be able to get out of there in 2 hours' time, easy. Okay, we again have given you these papers. I'm stressing the fact that you need to make sure these go to those people who are elected so they know what the heck you're supposed to do, because after that moment of glory of winning, you often will just not remember what it was you were going to do that you thought was a good idea that night. All right, now we're going to talk about caucus tracker system. All right, this is the state party website, and you can go there and find the neighborhood caucus button and click it, and it will then take you to the link of caucus tracker. So you go to the state party website, you click neighborhood caucus, and it will take you maybe one more screen before you get to here, but you will get here. And this is where you can register as a new user, or if you have already been on VoterLink, we brought you over. We just need you to come back in, reestablish, your whole link up, put in your email, your password, reset your password, or go as a new user. If you're going to come in as a new user, it's going to ask for your first name and your last name. Those are easy. Your email address, again, should be easy, and whatever password you wish to have, and then confirmation. Okay, on the next step here, there's a whole list of things. Administrator, state leadership, all the way down to candidate. If you do not know what they mean, then you are not one of those. Click the one you know. If you are a Senate district chair, you will know you are. If you are a legislative district chair, you again will know you are. Most of you will be precinct chairs or caucus hosts. That's what you will click. And you will go today, this very day, and you will go and log on, so you will become familiar with it, because there's a lot of information on here that you're going to need. Don't wait until the caucus day. That is too late. You'll put down what county you belong to, because another county will not adopt you. They are approved by the county leadership, and if they don't know who you are, you will never get access. So make sure you've got the right county. And if you were, I believe they'll put their precinct number in here if they're the precinct host. Now, yeah, right here, like Logan 01. Okay, so you want it to look like it should, like where you live. Now, before caucus night, you'll have gotten on and you've logged on and you have figured out what cool things are under the tabs. You won't see all of these tabs, but you will have one that says voters, and you'll have one that says caucus attendees, and there'll be one, I believe, that says forms. And under forms, you will find a PDF of every template we've given you here, so you can print at will, okay, however many you need. And that's where you'll find those slips for the pledges that you can print out that can be put in the envelopes. Everything we provided you here that you may need to print again will be there. Important ahead of time is to go to the voters to download your list of Republican voters. Two things. You're going to need that list to distribute your door hangers, okay? From that list, you'll figure out who you're taking door hangers to invite to your caucus. We want to get the old ones to return, and we want some new ones to come and participate. And so the best way to find those is through the list. There's a download button for Excel. There will be another button that shows up on your screen for PDFs in case you're not Excel equipped. So either way, your list will be available to you and usable and printable. All right. So after caucus, it's now time to input. Now, if you've gotten, and this is a question I have for David, can more than one person log into an account at one time?
Yes, you can do
Perfect.
that.
I've been telling them that, and I was so hoping I was true. All right, so here's the deal. You can have multiple people who have computers with independent Wi-Fi capability logged on to your account and entering this information during the course of the whole meeting. And that's one of the things we're recommending. During the meeting, it's built into the guides, especially during counting of ballots. Check and see if everybody's signed the vote by mail forms. Make sure that they have, they're in that book, and that they have signed them and left them in the book for you to turn in. Make sure they have signed the attendance roll. Just pass that around and let it circulate while you're conducting the meeting. It's a lot faster, gives them more time to put in. They probably will write more legibly since they're not pressured into doing it with 300 people standing behind them. And after you've concluded the meeting, you need to go take your roll that you have filled out with who won what offices, and you're going to want to record those attendees, and number one, who got elected to leadership first, and then go back and input your attendees, okay? We're trying to capture that. You have a very short window to do it. So to record them, you go to the Caucus Attendee tab. You will select the Add button, okay? And then you will start typing a name, Alan, Nancy. And then if she was a registered voter, she will show up right here. And you will just check her information. And if you need to add an email, you can add that, all right? Then there are all the things that happened. Sorry, David?
There's going to be a drop-down menu. You'll just select the name and it will pre-populate.
Okay, great. Awesome. There'll be a drop-down menu when you type in that name, and then you'll select Nancy Allen, and then it will populate, and then you will check her information and change whatever needs to be changed, add whatever needs to be added. And then you will select, well, yeah, they attended, so check that. Were they elected a county alternate delegate? The state doesn't have alternate delegates or anything, but the counties do. And so to make it easier for you to track those in your own system, we've added them for your benefit. But if they were an alternate delegate, or a county delegate, or election judge, ex officio, precinct chair, secretary, state alternate delegate, treasurer, or vice chair, click whichever one of those, all of those boxes that apply. Okay, somebody can be the precinct chair, county delegate, state delegate. They can hold multiple offices like that. You can combine the secretary and treasurer, for instance, in small places. They do that. So then, to save, you can click just add if that was the last one, or if you're going to go now do another one, add new. Either one saves. You don't have to look around for the save button. You can move to the next screen and automatically saves. All right. This is just an overview of those steps. Go to Caucus Attendees, click the add button, click on this box, type a name, get a pre-populated thing that pops up. If there's nothing, enter all the information, double check the information, and then click and see what they've done, and then add new. All right, that pretty much is the summation of the presentation, and at this point in time, this is my contact information, pretty much available 24/7 between now and caucus tonight, so if you need to contact me for any reason, if you have any questions, if you need any further training, please call, contact us, and we will be more than happy to help you. We want to have successful caucuses, and it really all hinges on you being successful in your own precincts. At this point in time, do we have questions? Yes, sir.
How long before, so if a county has an alternate delegate, say a state delegate can't go down to the convention, how long before the state convention do they have to tell you?
It's usually about 2 weeks.
And so there's no way, if someone gets sick, the day before or 2 days before, they just don't send a representative from that precinct? Because I know you're supposed to, but I mean, there's always emergencies that pop up.
The Constitution, I believe it states, and I'll have to look this up, but it's about a 2-week window where we lock it in.
And it's in the Constitution. It's in the bylaws actually. It's in the bylaws, and it states. Now, every once in a while, something happens, like you say, and a county will go ahead and send their alternate delegates, and they'll come in and they'll register, and they'll be provisional, and they'll be held out, and then those people will be taken before the caucus or the convention delegates, and those delegates will decide if they will participate or not. Okay?
And so just absolutely encourage them to do it 2 weeks if they know.
Yeah, because the reason why, it's not just everybody, but logistically, we have 4,000 delegates, okay? We have to make all kinds of things, and we print credentials, and more important than anything else, this is a nomination convention, and so those candidates need to know that they've reached out to everybody they could reach out to. And if we had a bunch of replacements, that could impact a race significantly. So we don't typically become overrun with many. I mean, usually on 3,500, we've had definitely less than 20. It's usually been in the teens or single digits, and so we of course recognize the inevitable. Well, he keeled over last night, but we want representation. And so we just bring that to the floor of the delegates, they get to decide. But we don't generally, you know, in those circumstances, usually have to be presented to the delegates, and the delegates can decide on a delegate by delegate basis. Okay? So we do have the rule, there's a good reason for it. Yeah, there is one last hope. You can appeal to the delegates. Okay, another question?
How are people going to find out about their caucus location? Is that up to the state party or the county party or both?
Can I answer that really quick?
Yes, you can.
Come this week, we are going to be launching a new site on Utah GOP where an individual will be able to go in and put in their name and their information. And once caucus locations become available, we're hoping it's now Wednesday. It was supposed to be this morning. Hopefully it's now Wednesday. We'll email anyone who is registered with that an email where their location will be. Eventually it will be such where they'll type in their address and we'll tell them directly where to go.
Now, is that the only way? Because a lot of people probably won't get on the website who are newcomers.
Here's our bottom line, Nate. These signs will say right here, posted in each precinct where you should go. We also have these door hangers that will be printed where you should go, that will be passed out at least a week, hopefully, a little bit.
In about 2 weeks, you'll start seeing mass media on the TV,
Yes.
radio.
Okay.
Directing people, they'll be aware of it. We've done everything we can to make this, like you just came home from work and went, oh yeah, I should go to that.
Yeah.
And you will know where to go. Once you get into the school, we've asked those county parties to make sure they're mapped and well signed as to where you should go inside the schools or the public
Okay.
buildings that are being, I haven't heard of any being in a home yet this year, but a lot of people are trying to move to the more public buildings to accommodate the numbers. One other thing, a really important part I should tell you, is that we have 24 hours to input our caucus attendees. Okay, so 7 p.m. Friday, March 16th, we need it all in. At a minimum, okay, always, we need the leadership that was elected that night. But we need all that input, and that's why we're really promoting do it on site. You can have a large percent, if not all of it, done by the time you actually during the meeting if you have volunteers that can bring their equipment. I guess even smartphones can get into this stuff.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just think right outside that box. And somebody said on the sheets, these attendance rolls, I don't want to steal yours unless it's mine. But on these attendance rolls here, that they just feel that the carbon copies just don't work out very well. Well, again, there are small copy machines you can take, printer copiers, or there are handheld scanners, or they were testing this in Davis County. You can just take a picture, and man, it was incredibly clear, and we were shocked at how good it turned out, better than a lot of other things. And so, think outside the box a little, but we need that input. And we really would love it that night. If for some reason you just can't do it that night, we need it in before 7 p.m. on Friday. Okay, another question, Nate?
I have two more questions.
Okay.
Quick. Okay. So can someone run for a position if they're not present at the caucus?
Oh, such a good question. Yes, you do not need be present to be nominated. We do need to know you're a Republican. We can check our list for that. Or maybe we know you need to have somebody go to that caucus and nominate you, especially if you're not going to be present because you're helping as a volunteer on some other level. You certainly can send people in, get your neighbors, make sure they know ahead of time so they'll vote for you. You make sure if you want to run for positions, you need to get yourself out and make your neighbors go with you to vote for you. But you have to be present to vote and to make nominations, and but to be elected to anything, you can be absent, and that's okay. We just would like to have some sort of form, whether it's a letter or your best friend or whatever that can vouch for you absolutely wanting to take that position as elected, and that you are available.
Okay. And then alternate delegates, is that a completely separate voting?
An alternate delegate
as well,
is voted. Alternate delegates are not recognized under state party documents, and in a lot of counties they're not recognized. So actually we go with whatever the county party documents say. If it's just the next, whatever they say. It could say another election, or it could say
whoever's next in line.
Next in line on a vote. I don't know. It's up to you. Okay. Yes.
I don't don't know if you know the answer to this, but I've had a lot of people ask if they're going to get a new voter ID card with their new precinct number. Do you have any idea what the plan is for that?
Yeah, those come from the clerks.
Right.
So the clerks have to send those out because they've changed everybody's boundaries, and so you need to get a new card because almost every clerk has now changed the names of those precincts or something. And so I believe that it would be reasonable that every voter receive a new one. If you do not receive a new one, then perhaps nothing changed in your life.
And you don't know if they'll be out before caucus or not. I've just been asked that a lot.
I don't know, but I'm sure
Okay.
every clerk is striving because they know for both parties
Thank you.
what's out there. So check with your county clerk to know for sure.
Can you just explain to us how like the delegates are allotted to the precincts and counties?
Magic? No, okay.
There's 4,000 now, right?
There.
So like,
There are at least 4,000, yeah. And there's a formula. It's called the Republican Strength Formula. And like 3 people know how to do it. However, the state party takes the information and they create an allocation based upon the Republican Strength Formula for each county. And they say, so Salt Lake County, you will get X number of delegates. And then Salt Lake County will take those and then they will distribute them to their precincts according to the state party rules and their rules as to how it works, okay? So that's basically how it works.
and so it could go off like voter turnout in the counties for each precinct, or
Yeah, for
something like that.
instance, if you have a county that voted for Obama in the last election, you will receive less state delegates than the counties who voted for McCain. Okay? So it's, and it really hinges on the governor's race, the attorney general's race, the state auditor, state treasurer. Those are really the ones that are the key thing, but they're done in the presidential year when they expect the largest turnout.
and so they just track the percentage in each individual precinct even.
Yes, they do. Each individual precinct. They can actually say, was this a Republican voting precinct or a Democrat voting precinct, and you can see what percentage it was on the registered voters. We can't tell you how each household voted yet, and we hope we never can, because that would violate all kinds of things. All right, any other questions that we have on the training? Yes, David?
I just wanted to bring up a point because most of you are all with campaigns. With Caucus Tracker, I would recommend have at least one person on your campaigns that you designate to register as a candidate so that you can pull those reports live off of Caucus Tracker on caucus night with our system. I would prefer that you would use like a campaign email, so if it's Orrin Hatch or Herbert for Governor or Sherilyn Eager, I guess are the 3 campaigns that at least see in here, or Rob Bishop, that you have your ending of your email be that, so that I can quickly identify it as, okay, this is a Herbert team, this is a Hatch team, or so on and so forth. If I see Sam at Yahoo, I don't know who Sam at Yahoo is, I'll probably end up deleting you, so be appreciated.
Also, another tip. You need to have a flag available in your classroom. They probably will be there. You can go to the dollar store and buy a good flag of a decent size, and you can post that, okay? And so just make sure that you, in your packet of tools and everything that you need to take, that you do have provision for a flag. If you checked out the site ahead of time, you would have one, if you good. If not, make sure you have a flag. I was told under etiquette, you don't have to have a flag to pledge the allegiance. You just all face east. Okay? So that's a good thing to know too, just in case. All else fails and the flag went missing, yes.
So the flag being present is just for the pledge.
That is true.
Because I know
We're not going to make you burn it or
not
make
just for the pledge. The
We're not
pledge
going to make
is
you make
important.
fabric out of it.
Okay, I was just saying because I know most of the schools will just have everyone meet in the auditorium.
Actually, a lot of people are not doing that this year because it's just caused so many problems. So very few, and we've cautioned them. But what they're going to do is have like a pre-registration process, which you can do when you're out. You can call those people on your registered list of Republicans, say, are you planning to come? You can verify their information over the phone, and then they're kind of like pre-registered. So when they come in, you already know they're valid and their information is correct. If you're going to meet ahead of time, make sure you have some kind of registration process where, you know, if you've got 500 people coming to a school, that they're not all trying to figure out where they're registering. I mean, even if they go to their classrooms first and then move into an auditorium, whatever you do, we're just asking that you really think through the logistics and get that so it's an even flowing thing, and that the meeting starts with the prayer and the pledge at 7 p.m. Okay, yes?
Is there any way to like file a complaint, like if a precinct chair does something like really corrupt or messed up or doesn't follow a rule or something like that?
Yeah. Notify. I would absolutely notify the county leadership, and I would also notify the state leadership. And then those people can take it into a process. Okay? If it's a minor thing and it doesn't make any difference as into the outcome of your thing, but if somebody came in with absentee ballots, for instance, we would so like to hear about that. You bet. Okay? It's something very egregious, and it would absolutely turn the tide on the whole office.
I've also had a couple people ask me, in the past they haven't had any leadership from their precinct show up. Who then steps up and runs that? Is there somebody they should go to get that organized? What's the plan?
Over every precinct is usually a ledge chair, unless you're in a very small county like, I think it's Grand, who is just going to have their 5 precincts all meet in one place, and he's going to do it, and he's the chair. Okay, so on the large scale counties, Davis, Salt Lake, Utah counties, all are using their ledge chairs, and so the ledge chair is making sure there's a caucus host in every location. If somebody doesn't show up, the ledge chair is probably going to know that because they had to report to him before the thing starts. And at that point, that ledge chair, being a man or a woman, will then find somebody who's willing to run it, which is why we wrote the instruction guide the way we did, so that anybody could just quite literally step in and run the meeting without any previous knowledge, and all the instructions are there. Turn in these things, do these things, say these things. Any other questions? Go right ahead.
What happens if, say, like you had it in a house and like way too many people show up and like, you know, there's not even room for everyone? Because I mean, there are, like in Cache County, there are a few places that like one's in a house, and like I don't think there'll be any issues, but like what happens if there's not room to have the meeting really?
That's why we're asking you to plan ahead. You've got the list of Republicans. You need to accommodate every one of them coming. If your house isn't big enough, and not say, well, nobody ever comes. Well, work harder. That's what we're asking you to do. Work harder, get more to come. Don't hold it in your home if it's not going to be able to hold twice the amount of people who came last time. Okay?
We've let all the precincts know how many they had last time at their attendance and how much we anticipate that they should have, so that they can accommodate for that.
Okay. And so that's part of it. We're really stressing this everywhere. If you need help figuring this out, there are businesses that will let you in. There are Boy Scout buildings that will let you use them. There are libraries that let you use them. There are schools that can only charge nominally, if at all. So we're trying to make it, you know, to move them outside of the homes, because it's a public process. And having them in our homes hasn't always worked out that well. And as we have more and more participants, we're going to see that need to move into a bigger building. So we're asking you to just know those numbers and plan accordingly, because it'll only reflect poorly on you. All right? We want you to be successful and look good. Yes?
Is there anything against having them in churches?
The churches won't hold them. That's my understanding. There isn't any rule or law against it, except people are kind of funny and they view this as a separation of church and state. If a church will hold it, that's okay. I know that we've looked into it before, and a lot of them just decline to be in the process at all. But they're not excluded. It's not illegal. Okay, any other questions on anything? Well, thank you all very much for coming. If any of you are planning to do any training, we just wanted to know on the state party level. We want to make sure that you have all the tools and all the information that you can utilize in doing so. We want lots and lots of people to know the whole process and to come and participate, and for everybody to do extremely well. So we're just here for you. Let us know what we can do. And if you have a really great idea We are so taking great ideas. Okay? Thanks again.
Thank you, Carrie.